On August 28, 2009, Mark Saylor, a veteran of the California Highway Patrol, took his 2006 Lexus IS 250 to Bob Baker Lexus service that morning, as the CD player in the car experienced a problem. He got a loaner car, 2009 Lexus ES 350. Everything seemed normal. Later in the day, he picked up his wife, his daughter, and his brother-in-law. It was a Friday evening. The family usually spent it at soccer practices. A few minutes later, they were on the highway, and something was wrong. The car wouldn't slow down. The accelerator pedal was stuck. The brakes weren't working. Mark Saylor, a trained police officer, was fighting for control of a car, rocketing down the road at 120 miles per hour. The highway ended in a T intersection half a mile ahead. At 6:37 p.m., car crashed at an intersection between Mission Gorge Road and State Route 125 North. What happened? The crash was catastrophic. The Lexus had hit a Ford Explorer at the intersection at about 100 miles per hour. It then launched over an embankment, became airborne, and finally came to rest upside down in the dry bed of the San Diego River, where it burst into flames. All 4 occupants were killed. When investigators arrived, they began the fiddling work of figuring out why. They quickly found the first critical piece of evidence. It was in the driver's footwell, an all-weather floor mat, but it wasn't the right one. The part number stamped on the back was for a Lexus RX 400H from 2005 to 2009. That's a sport utility vehicle. This mat was thicker and larger, designed for an SUV, not for the sedan Mark Saylor was driving, and it wasn't secured. The car had 2 plastic clips in the carpet meant to hold a floor mat in place. The right clip was installed in the carpet, but not attached to the mat. The left clip was just lying loose underneath the mat. This created a perfect trap. The bulky mat could slide forward, and its raised lip could catch the bottom edge of the accelerator pedal, pinning it to the floor. Pulling it free while driving at speed in a panic is nearly impossible. The bottom edge of the plastic accelerator had melted and fused to the top corner of the rubber mat from the intensity of the fire. They were literally bonded together. But here's the crucial detail. This wasn't the first time. Investigators learned from the San Diego Sheriff's Department that just days before, another customer had borrowed this same loaner car. That driver reported an unwanted acceleration event. He claimed that the car suddenly accelerated to over 80 miles per hour on the freeway. He managed to get it into neutral and slow down. He identified the problem immediately. The floor mat was jammed under the accelerator pedal. He pulled it free, and the car returned to normal. When he returned the car to the dealership, he complained about the unwanted acceleration. He told them about the mat. The dealership gave the same car to Mark Saylor. The mat was still there, unsecured. That should have been the end of the investigation, but it didn't. Mark Saylor was a trained officer. His instinct, and the instinct of any driver, would be to hit the brakes. The brakes should overpower the engine. If you slam the brakes with the gas pedal floored, the car should stop, right? So why, in this case, didn't the car stop? The Lexus ES 350, like almost every modern car on the road, has power-assisted brakes. You press the pedal with your foot, but a vacuum booster linked to the engine multiplies that force, making it easy to stop a vehicle. But that system has a critical, hidden weakness. It needs engine vacuum to work. When the engine is at wide open throttle, when the accelerator is pinned to the floor, it stops generating vacuum. The brake booster has a small reserve, but it's not infinite. If you apply the brakes with the throttle stuck open, you're drawing on that reserve. Here's the flaw. If you lift your foot off the brake pedal, even for an instant, you lose that power assist. The reserve is gone. The booster empties. What you're left with is raw, unassisted mechanical force. You are now trying to stop a car going 120 miles per hour using only the strength of your leg, pushing against a rock-hard pedal. It is physically almost impossible. Consumer Reports engineers tested this exact scenario. They took a Toyota, pinned the accelerator, and hit the brakes. The car slowed and stopped. That's what common sense says should happen. Then they did the test again.
Let's see what happens if you lift your foot off the brake in this situation.
But this time, they lifted their foot off the brake once, simulating what a panicked driver might do. Maybe to pump the brakes, or to try to kick a floor mat clear. The result was catastrophic. Once they lifted their foot, the power assist vanished. They stomped the pedal again with all their might. The car didn't slow down. They were powerless. In their test, the car accelerated from 60 to 80 miles per hour while the driver was standing on the brake with all their weight. The pedal wouldn't budge.
Now what does this mean? In the real world, people will actually lift a foot off the brake, perhaps to pump the brakes to get more power, perhaps they're trying to fiddle with a floor mat. But the point is when you lift your foot off the brake, even one time, you lose your power assistance and it becomes almost impossible to stop the vehicle.
The forensic evidence from the Sailor crash shows he was fighting the brakes with everything he had. Investigators examined the brake rotors and pads. They were discolored from extreme heat. They had rough surfaces and deposits of melted brake pad material. There were signs of bright orange oxidation on the cooling fins. This is the signature of endured braking. He was standing on the brake pedal, hard, for a long time. The brakes were applied. They were generating tremendous heat, but they weren't generating enough force to overcome the wide-open throttle. Mark Sailor was a victim of a loose floor mat that trapped the accelerator, and a brake system that abandoned him the moment he needed it most. With the accelerator pinned and the brakes ineffective in the back seat with seconds left, his brother-in-law, Chris Lestrella, made the call to 911.
911 emergency, what are you reporting?
We're going north 125, and our accelerator's stuck.
I'm sorry?
Our accelerator's stuck. We're on 125 and we're in brake.
Okay, northbound 125, where are you passing?
We are passing, where are we passing? We're going 120, Mission Gorge. We're in trouble. We can't, there's no brake.
Okay.
Gorge, end freeway, half mile.
Okay, and you don't have the ability to, like, turn the vehicle off or anything?
We're approaching an intersection. We're approaching an intersection.
Okay.
We're approaching an intersection. Hold on. Pray.
Okay.
Oh, shoot.
Okay. Hello?
The car burned for a long time. Investigators believe Mark Sailor could have prevented this situation. He might tried to shift into neutral, or he might turned off the ignition. But there was another hidden design working against him: the push-button ignition. To turn the car off in an emergency, you had to hold that button down for 3 full seconds. In such a crisis, that's not obvious. The Sailor family tragedy was not an isolated event. It was the horrific climax of a problem Toyota had been sidestepping for years. Reports of sudden, unintended acceleration in Toyota and Lexus vehicles had been appearing in consumer complaints and media reports since the late 1990s. By 2010, there were approximately 2,262 reported incidents. They resulted in 819 collisions, 341 injuries, and 26 deaths. The public and legal pressure after the Sailor crash forced a massive, unprecedented response. It began with a recall in November 2009 for 3.8 million vehicles to address floor mat entrapment. In January 2010, a second recall was announced for 2.3 million vehicles with potentially sticky accelerator pedals. Over 1.7 million vehicles were on both lists. Soon, the worldwide total reached 9 million cars. Sales of 8 popular models were suspended. Toyota's official stance was that the problems were strictly mechanical, mats and sticky pedals. To settle the matter, the US government launched a major investigation. They reviewed thousands of complaints and data from vehicle black boxes. The NHTSA, with help from NASA engineers, spent 10 months analyzing Toyota's electronic throttle control system. In February 2011, they released their conclusion. Toyota's problems were mechanical, not electrical. They found no evidence of an electronic defect. The primary causes were floor mat entrapment and sticky pedals. Many other incidents were attributed to driver pedal error, people pressing the gas when they meant to press the brake. But that wasn't the end of the story. In October 2013, a jury in a separate lawsuit ruled against Toyota. They heard testimony from software experts who analyzed the car's engine control code. An expert testified that the system didn't follow best practices for safety-critical software, and that a single software glitch could have caused flaws in the electronic throttle system, which could have caused unintended acceleration. The true cost was staggering. Toyota paid a $1.2 billion settlement to the U.S. Department of Justice. It spent over $1 billion more on a class action lawsuit. The legacy of the crisis was a complete overhaul of Toyota's safety approach. They were forced to introduce a brake override system on all new vehicles, a feature that cuts engine power the moment the brake pedal is pressed, regardless of the accelerator. It was a direct fix for the power assist brake failure that doomed Mark Saylor and his family. If you want to see more videos that break down the complex systems behind major events, subscribe and check out our other content.